Hello everyone, good morning. It's Change the Shed on March 2nd, 2022. We are now in March, so we are officially 2 years from the start of this pandemic. I think it was the middle of March, so here we are. Good morning everybody from all over. I was looking at who was here. We've got people from Minnesota and Washington and Germany and the Netherlands and Kansas City and Healdsburg and more from Washington, the Oregon coast, that's cool, San Diego, Northern Nevada. Good morning everybody. Texas, Minnesota, Rhode Island, Utah, Idaho, Virginia, Iowa City, Ottawa, Canada. It's really fun to see you all coming in from all over the world. So Lee from London, Paula from Vermont. So welcome everybody. We're just going to do some weaving. This is a tiny little corner of the basement of my house where I do a lot of recording, and I am setting up for a live class that I'm doing this month. So I thought I would test out some of the new setup on you all. So thanks for being guinea pigs. And Maryland, Bainbridge Island, Washington. I love the islands. The San Juan Islands in Washington are really fun. If y'all haven't been there, jump on a ferry sometime out of Seattle and or further north and go visit the islands. Bainbridge is not in the San Juans, I don't think. Sorry, Barbara, but maybe it's south of there. I don't know if it's considered the San Juans or not. Anyway, fun place to go. Anytime I can ride a ferry, I'm happy about it. So the next Change the Shed will be in 2 weeks on March 16, I believe. And I told my newsletter subscribers last week that I'm doing a workshop, a live workshop on March 12th. And y'all did not, those of you on my newsletter, those people did not fill the workshop, so there are some spots left if anyone is interested in jumping on a live workshop on a Saturday, which is about shedding, it's going to be more fun than it sounds, how to fix your sheds when they're wrong. I'll talk a little bit about meet and separate and why that's important, or maybe when it isn't important, and then how to fix your sheds. So that is on my website if you are interested in checking it out. There's about 10 spots left, I think. So if you want to do it, jump on it. Awesome. Good morning, everybody. I see people from Colorado and everywhere else. So thanks for being here, everybody. I think those were all my announcements. So it is spring today in Colorado. It's going to be winter again this weekend. So it's that fun time of year where stuff changes every hour. Let's do some weaving. So today I have, first of all, I was unable to set this camera up in a way that you couldn't see it, so I apologize. I used this Canon DSLR to look at my weaving, so hopefully you can see it better. I'm having a little trouble today, but here is what I'm working on. And it's a new piece. It is for a show coming up this spring. And I figured I better get it woven or it wasn't going to happen. So actually, let me show you. I set up a little funky extension camera because I want to show you. Let's see if this is going to work without being blurry. Well, that's fun. Let's try that again. Okay, I'm still here. All right, well, that was working earlier, and now it appears to be giving you a blurry static photo. So I don't want to mess up the other camera. I was going to show you the whole, dang it. Here, I'm going to see if I can reset this. I want to show you what I'm working on. Oh, maybe that might have worked. Okay. Yay. Okay. When all else fails, restart. So this is a fringeless four-selvedge warp. I'm going to try not to make you dizzy here. It's a fringeless warp on a Mirex Zac loom, so it's a wide loom. Wow, that's really shaky. Sorry, you guys. Here you can see the bottom of the piece. It's 10 inches tall, so here's the top of the four-selvedge warp. So the tapestry will be from here to here. This is a supplemental warp. Four-selvedge means that it comes off the loom and it won't have any hems or fringe. It'll just have these little tiny loops at the bottom. And then the top of the loom here, this is the other supplemental warp. Because the top of the Mirex loom is so wide versus, I like to use copper pipe looms for this technique, or galvanized pipe looms. I make the shed a little narrower with some other accessory bars. I realized as I was weaving this morning that I've made my open shed pretty narrow, and I will probably need to make this top bar here a little bit wider so that I can get my fingers in there easier. But the lovely thing about this four-selvedge stuff is that I have a shed the whole way. So even when I'm weaving at this top part, I'll be able to open the shed and weave without using a needle or struggling with the four-selvedge stuff. So, okay, let's see. That's fun. Okay, here's my other camera. Welcome, Eva from Spain, and Susan from Florida, and Michael from Israel. Welcome. Awesome, Michelle. Emily has popped in a, I don't think that's actually a link, but if you're looking for the workshop, the online workshop, it's under online learning on my website. Look for live workshops. Okay, let's look at this. Let me show you a little cartoon. So this piece is about a lot of things, and I am doing it'll probably be a series because this is how I learn. This is my initial idea, and it will probably evolve as I go. But here, you can't actually see the whole thing here, but it will involve potentially some open warps, some color gradation, and at the bottom here, these are lines reminiscent of topo lines from maps, which I love dearly. So I'm working on, I've got the bottom color in, and I'm using Harrisville singles, hand-dyed, for the main weft for the piece. And then this is Weaver's Bazaar, actually. I like the really shiny, crisp nature of Weaver's Bazaar versus the wool. Actually, I have previously done a sample with this materials combination, and I really liked it. So this is what I'm looking at, is the fuzzy wool versus the really crisp, shiny Weaver's Bazaar for these dividing lines. So that's what I'm playing with, and we'll see how it goes. And if I don't like it, I will do another one, because this is a small piece, and the advantage of weaving small is you just do another one if you don't like what happened. Michelle, I fight with my headphones all the time. I don't understand how, have you done, you get on the airplane and you've just stuffed your headphones in your pocket or something. Not that I've been on an airplane in forever, but you take them out and it's like a rat's nest. I don't understand how they get, or you always store them in the same drawer next to the couch, and you pull them out and they're impossibly tangled. How does that happen? I think there's headphone elves, Michelle, that are like, I'm gonna tangle that up. Okay, so also struggling a little bit with the light in this room, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm weaving from this, sitting to the side with poor light, so this could be an interesting day. I'm weaving up, this is the next little dividing line, And I'm just filling in back and forth. This is a Murex loom, and I could have put the shedding device on here. And I have enjoyed doing fringeless pieces without the shedding device. It's fun if you've never woven without a shedding device on a pipe loom or any other kind of loom. Try it sometime. It's a different experience, especially if it's a small piece with lots of detail. Sometimes picking the shed is faster and more efficient than reaching up to shift the shedding device all the time. That's when I find myself getting frustrated by always reaching up to shift the shed, I put the treadle on my Murex. But it's also fun to have that experience of just picking the shed. Let's see, I can make this a little smaller. You can see my fingers better. Yes, good question, Judy. The gray is mostly... Judy asked if the gray outline here, the Weaver's Bazaar outline, is put in eccentrically. Yes, it is. I put in a split weft at the bottom, and I'll show it. I'm going to do another one up here. But and then there are some areas that are built up more like this, and those were woven. Actually, they're still woven eccentrically. So this is a narrow enough line that works pretty well. One of the things I'm not sure about in this piece is how thick to make this area, because the Harrisville yarn is so much fluffier. How wide do I need to make the outline to make it visible when it's getting sort of crushed here between the pieces of the fuzzier weft? Sometimes as I'm working, I'll take something out if I'm sure it's not going to work. If I'm not sure it's going to work, I might weave the whole thing, and then I call it weaving in series. You do another one with your adjusted idea in the next piece. Okay, those are... I don't like that little step there. I don't want to step. So I'm going to back that out. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do a little eccentric thing to fill that in, because that will actually help make it a little smoother and keep me from having a step there. I think I do want to step on this side. So the line, I don't know if you noticed this, but these lines are not the same thickness. So I'm anyway, neither of the sections are the same thickness. So I'm building up areas in the outline. Got ahead of myself there. I will show you that in a second. All right. I am going to put an extra wrap on this. I think I need a suspended light here. I think that my hand is in the way of... I have a whole bank of lights over here, but none of them seem quite bright enough. Mary, yeah, OTs are good with gadgets. I used to be an occupational therapist, and one of the things you work hard at when you become an OT is how to modify environments and things. So it's a lot about figuring out how to make stuff work with whatever you have at hand. And that training has served me well in my life and in this job. Okay. Also at points like this, thinking about, do I want a hill thread there or a valley thread? Because how is that going to affect the curve that I'm creating? This is the very top of this little section. I don't know if you can tell that this yarn is lighter than what I had before. Okay, so I had a valley there. I think that will work. This one's going to be a hill, but that should be fine. Just filling in, there's a little dip right here. I want to make sure to put more weft in this area so that it pooches down. One of the things I'm unsure about in the way I'm weaving this is whether I'm going to get the kind of jaggedy, a little bit jaggedy topo line look that I want from these lines, and I can already tell that they're smoother than I intended in my head, and that is coming from the way I'm weaving it. At this point, I'm going to keep going. If I really hate it, I might take it out, but at this point I'm going to keep going just so I can see what it looks like, and either do it again after I finish this one, weaving it in a different way without all the eccentric smoothing. It's just an example of how your idea of what you want to express has to match your technique and your materials and even the equipment that you're using, the kind of warping. It all kind of goes together. Doesn't mean that you have to have it all figured out when you start, because that's what practice brings. Okay, that's going to be over too far. There's a little hill right here I'm just filling in. I was reviewing one of the Archie Brennan DVDs the other day. As I was reading his book, I wanted to see him weaving a little bit. And he talks about, the one that I pulled out, he talks about twacking, which is a word that I've never heard anyone except Archie use. But that thing of like feeling your work, feeling what you're doing. I think the word was twacking, T-W-A-C-K. It is quite possible I'm getting that wrong because... Okay, so I don't like that. There's a little step. I don't know if there, maybe you can see that better. Right there, there's a little step. Not quite what I want. So that's better. Sometimes you don't see it till you weave it. I'm actually going to put an extra wrap on that top one. That will get sort of pushed down, but the extra wrap will help. You know what? This probably isn't going to help. Nope, that's going to be worse, I think. I'll have to get a gray thing behind. I think the black is making the... just making it seem darker with the dark yarn. Michelle, I didn't say the set end strands of weft. This is 8 ends per inch, and this is 3 strands of Harrisville Kohler singles. And I'm playing with various amounts of strands of, this is Weaver's Bazaar Fine. The warp, this is a fringeless warp, four-selvedge fringeless warp. I have Sarah Sweat and I did a class about this warping method. Sarah teaches how to do this. She taught me, and then she agreed to do a class. about it, and so I was lucky enough to get to work with her for quite a long time to make that class, which is a lot of fun. That was an aside. This warp is cotton seine twine, and it is 26. It's thin, and it's because the Fringeless warp is doubled. It's how you get the supplemental warp hooked to the main warp. Okay, is that going to work out? I think so. All right, and I'm just running this down the side to the next spot. Definitely you get faster at picking the more you practice. I need this to be thicker, and I don't really want to weave it eccentrically, not because it wouldn't work, but mostly because I don't want to see this whole area have a really diagonal look to it. So I am actually going to fill this in like this, with the weft going perpendicular to the weaving. Nope. All right, I think that's about right. I don't really like that little piece right there. I'll take that out. Go back here. Okay, now, despite what I said about the eccentric look of it, eccentric look of it, I am also lazy, and I don't like floats. So I am going to run this down the side. We'll see how it looks later. Another thing, if I don't like it, I'll do it differently next time. If I had looped that around the back, I would have had a big float, which is fine, I guess. But it also would have messed up my meet and separate, so my shedding would have been off. And there are various ways that I could have fixed that. Okay, my cartoon is confusing me here. Okay, I'm gonna go back. I want a little bit of a hill right here. Yeah. And then this edge part is really thin. That will pack down a little bit. It's always a little bit of a guessing game. Once you get used to using particular materials, it's not so much of a guessing game how much weft you need to put into any one area, but if you're new to a particular material, it might take you a while to figure out how much it will pack in. A firmer yarn like Weaver's Bazaar doesn't pack down as much as a yarn like this Hairsville Singles. It's a fairly firm yarn, but it, when bundled, it packs in more than the Weaver's Bazaar does. Okay, I think that's it for this shape. So there's my next So I've done this, and this is the gray line, and then I've done this next fill-in part. And I am going to do it like I did the last one with an eccentric outline. And I'm going to split, can you see this? Yeah, I'm going to split away just one strand. So this should all be in the same shed because I wove it, because of the way I wove it. These eccentric passes, you just have to be real careful to get enough weft in there. Yeah, I need to open up my my open shed, like I was saying at the beginning with that bar at the top of the loom is the bar's a little bit thin, so I need to shift it out for a little bit thicker one just to make the weaving. If you have a little bit wider bar at the top, you can slide your fingers in quickly. And this warp is long enough that I won't have issues with ridging or anything by putting a bigger bar up there. I just have to find one. Okay, great. Now I need, pretty sure that's going to work, so I'm going to cut that off. I prepared my next outline. I'm mixing the next two colors of, so this is the Weaver's Bazaar Grayscale. It's their black, and it comes in 7 colors, I think. So I'm going to try mixing the one I used here with the next darkest one, and we'll see how it goes. All right. It also actually is a little bit easier to pick your shed if the open shed is a little bit bigger. It's easier to find so the open shed, you just slide your fingers in, and the closed shed, which is the layer of warps behind, if the open shed is a little bit bigger, it's actually easier to get your fingers in and figure out which one you're grabbing like this if the open shed is a little bit larger. So I will do that. Before you see this again, if you see this again, which is likely, I don't yet have the next piece on the big loom, or I would be showing you that. I'm going to use a little tiny tapestry fork to get these. The grabbier wool is a little easier to get in eccentrically, and the smoother wools are a little bit harder. So sometimes a tapestry fork really helps. In my new dye class, good question, Connie. In my new dye class, that's coming in sometime in May. Will I be showing how to do short color changes? Do you mean short color changes within the, this is the only thing I think you could mean in terms of a dye class, that we're changing the color of the yarn, I assume is what you mean. This first class is a basic introduction to dyeing. It shows you everything you need to do immersion dyeing. So the whole skein is one color. The follow-up class, there'll be a shorter, less expensive follow-up class where I will be talking about painting yarns, low water immersion dyeing, and using other ways of getting the yarn ready to dye to create some of those other things I think you're asking about, Connie. Yes, Marilyn, I just put, here, let me see if I can pull this up so you can see. I just put so I had one pick of the brown across the whole top, and then I have in the same shed the gray. So it's a split weft outline. This little area of this outline to be thicker. Now, even though I just did that last one down there, I'm trying to remember how okay, sometimes if you look at where the tails are, you can remember the tails are in the center. So, okay, I want to do it the way I did it before. So I think I'm going to bring this all the way across first. This is a little bit steep to outline this way. You can see right here, before it's packed in, you're seeing a lot of warp there. That's just an indication that this angle is a little bit steep. I know that this wool material is going to pack in enough when I weave on top of it that that's not going to show, but with some other wefts, it might show. So the material that you're using really has an impact on what you can create, or, you know, technique and material work together. It's not that every different weft you use is going to act the same way with the same technique. It's not true. Okay. All right, that looks like it's going to work pretty well. I'm going to, okay, on the way out, I'm going to do some of the little thick edges, the thicker places in this outline. So I clearly did not put this weft on a tapestry broaden. I am showing you my eclectic weaving habits. I'm just building up some areas of this outline, and apologize that it seems you're getting a lot of shadow there. All right, looks like the rest of it. I'm actually looking to the side. I'm looking at this to see where I've put wider areas of the cartoon, because I didn't draw on the warp all of that detail. Doesn't matter to me if it's exactly like the drawing. I just need a guide. Okay, great. Hello, Aniki, you're here from Hungary. Yay. All right, that's looking pretty good. Yeah, Naya, this is definitely, I love doing outlines this way. Like I was saying earlier, this has turned out a lot smoother than I really intended in my head. So I may well do this whole thing again, weaving it in a different way that isn't so eccentric, because it tends to smooth stuff out. I mean, that's why I do it this way, because I like really smooth lines. But I also, there's a trade-off between putting in, an eccentric pass or split weft or something to make things really smooth like this. It tends to flatten the form. So if I want a more jagged form there, I need to weave this differently. Instead of going eccentrically, I need to fill it in as if it's a little tiny shape, which it is. Oh no, I didn't. That's good. Okay, so yes, yes, it makes it smoother. But that isn't always what you want. Let's see. I want to build this up a little bit at the top. In an attempt to make it less smooth. Smooth, but less smooth. All right, and then there's also a limit to how much eccentric weaving you can do without distorting the fabric. The weft is the boss of the system. We always like to think that the warp is the boss, that the warp, it's so tight, it's holding everything in place. It's so not true. The weft is the boss. So if I weave not perpendicular to the warp for a long period of time, that weft will pull the warps out of. True, and that's what happens with wedge weave. It's why wedge weave, the edges of the wedge weave are scalloped, because the weft is pulling the warp over. And then in wedge weave, it's balanced, so then it pulls it the other direction, so you get that cool back and forth. But that's why wedge weave works, because it's balanced in that way. Okay. This gray is also fairly thin for this set. I did that on purpose, but it's a materials thing. The thinner the weft, it looks different. I don't know if y'all remember when I did Hand Basket, I on purpose bundled a whole bunch of this Weaver's Bazaar fine together. I had 6 or 8 strands or something, and it made it look like a basket, because it was, a thin yarn that reflects light in a particular way, but it was there was a lot of it, so it made it look like a sort of a basket effect. Yeah, Amy says it looks like a view of the Front Range from Fort Collins. It isn't actually a particular place, but it could be. Maybe for the next iteration, I will actually choose a particular place. I'm going to make this edge a tiny bit thicker. Okay, and then I'm going to bring these back, and this should be good for this outline. And I will try to figure out some better lighting for next time. Probably just need a light over here. All right, I'm just returning these to the center. And we can put in our next color. I really like using this Weaver's Bazaar yarn for things like this. It has a really nice reflecting quality. Reflects light in a really particular way because of the way the yarn is spun. So I like it for this kind of thing. Yes, Marilyn, I always do that. Not always, but that's one of the things I'll talk about in that shedding workshop I'm doing in a couple weeks. Marilyn says, as you go back and forth with this eccentric outline, are you careful to make sure that the next thread will go all the way across in the correct shed? And yeah, I have a lot of ways of working that. Hold on, let me see. This is not a ton. I don't need a whole lot of weft here. Ways of working that are more efficient, maybe. You can always fix your sheds, but just choosing a way of working where the sheds are working is helpful. And so, yes, I do that on purpose. This is simple. So in that last case, and this is what I'm going to do again, for the outline, I had 2 butterflies that I was using. I could have used just one, but I used 2. And then on here with the next color, I will just start with 1 butterfly and do like I did before and start filling in. This is all in the same shed, and so I know I'll be able to weave all the way across with 1 butterfly. I would also be able to weave with 2 if I started it in the, with 2 butterflies, 1 on each end, or wefts. I have a long-standing habit of using the word butterfly. So this is just, I'm just going to start this as the 3rd color, which is actually quite a bit lighter than the last one. You can really see that one. Going to, see, when I'm talking, I just forget stuff. So easy to do. What did I forget? The second half of the split weft outline. So that will go in the same shed as the last pass across. So this new bobbin I just wound will actually end up in the other shed, and it doesn't matter because the shed is the same all the way across. So anyway, this will go in the same shed. Let's see if you can see that as the last gray. Let's see. There we go. There's 2 strands of the gray and 1 of this, and that will go across, and then I will start this next bobbin like I just showed you. So hopefully that's fun. Enjoy your week. I hope you all have a fun time doing whatever you're doing. The world is a bit of a scary place at the moment, and March seems to be a hard month. Hang in there, and those of you in Europe, I send you all my love, and especially those of you in Ukraine who are not watching right now, but I know several tapestry weavers in Ukraine, so my love goes out to all of you, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week and do some tapestry weaving. I'll see you later. I'll be back in 2 weeks on the 16th. All right. Have fun, y'all.